Welcome back. Now in this video we're going to build on what we've done previously with the app, and this time I'm going to start tidying it up a little. So I'm going to be adding a menu in here and some navigation buttons as well, and also tidying up some of the forms just to make them look a bit more presentable. So the first thing I'm going to do is add a brand new screen, and this is going to be my menu screen. It's just going to be a very simple menu, so I'm going to rename this form, this screen, and we're going to call it menu. And then I'm just going to insert a couple of buttons. So I could just select one, bring it down, and if you just click on it and just do Control C and Control V, that will copy it, and I'll just change the text. So what I want this button to do when I click it is to move to my list of employees. So I'm just going to call this employees, and this here is going to be my button that takes me out of the app. So I'm going to call it exit. And what I might do with this one is come along here to the properties and change the background color to something like a red or something like that. Now when I click on the employees button and I come up to the events here, I want the on select event because I want it to do something when it's clicked. And what do I want it to do? I want it to actually navigate. So I want it to navigate to what form do I want it to go to, or what screen do I want it to go to? Well, I want it to go to my list employee screen here. So if I put in list employee, you've also got like a little kind of effect you can add in. Screen transitions, cover right, fade. I like to use fade, so I'll just put that in there. And that's it, really. And for the exit button, all we'd put is exit, and that will take us out of the app. So let's just test this now. We won't actually be able to exit the app. It's not actually going to do anything at the moment, but if I click on employees, we can see it navigates straight to that employee list. But at the moment I've got no way of getting back to the menu, but I'll come on to that in a minute. So let's just go back to the menu. And what I might decide to do, I might add something at the top because you're looking a bit dry at the moment, a bit bland. So what I could do here is perhaps add a label. This is quite a common thing to do. Text label at the top. You'll see this in a lot of different Power Apps, this kind of style. I want to center the text, align center, and I'm going to perhaps call this text employee tracking, and I might give it a background color of blue perhaps, and the foreground color for the text of white. So I could also perhaps add an image on here. So if I come up here and I say insert under media, the media section, select image and just drag it where I want it to be. So come along here to the properties where it says image, select that and then click add an image file. And I've got an image here on my computer, so I'll select that, click open, and that drops that image in there. So it's just to make it look a little bit more presentable, the app. So now if I come back to list employee, what I want to do is I want to put a button on here which is going to navigate me back. But what I'll do first is I'll tidy it up with a label at the top. So I could take this label that I put on the menu, click on it and do Control C on the keyboard, come back to my list employee, I do Control V, and it puts it there. Or you can just insert a label at the top and do what I did and change the colors and things. So I'm just going to change some of the words here. Just call it employees, and we have that. So instead of having this chunky save button here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put an icon on here which will do the same thing. We'll save the data. So if I click on the label at the top and I come along to insert, I want to select icons at the bottom here. So I'm going to need to scroll down, and I'm looking for a save icon. So here it is, save. It's got our sort of disk image here. I'm going to move that over there. That's my save button now. And what I want to do is I want to perhaps change the color of it to white so it shows up better. And it's not actually going to do anything at the moment. If you look at the onSelect property of it there at the top, it just says false. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the code from our button, click on that, grab all the code that we have here, highlight and copy, Control C, come back to our disk symbol, and on the event here on select, press Control V, and that's our code now for the save button. So we can now get rid of this horrible chunky button here, delete that, and our code is there for that. So it's going to do the same thing. It's going to save the data, just that it looks a little bit better with the icon, I think. So we also need a way of navigating back to the main menu. So again, click on the label at the top, come over to the insert button, and again we're looking for the icon section, and let's look at the one for moving back. And the one I like to use, and it's quite a common one which I've seen in other Power Apps, is this left one, because we're going to be moving back. So position it there, again change it to white, and on the onSelect event there's two things you can do here. You can use the back function, which will take you to the basically back to the last screen that you came from, or the previous screen, or you can just use the navigate, and I actually prefer to use this because sometimes the back button can do strange things depending on where you are in the system. So I'm going to navigate back to the menu, and that's it. So we can test that out now. We can come back to the menu screen, run that form, go to employees, takes me there. If I navigate back with this button, it takes me back to the menu. So that worked. I think I might add a border around here as well. So insert rectangle and just put it there. Now I want to make this transparent. So select color, transparent, and I want the border to show, so I'll make that 1. Okay, so we have a border now around that. And if I just save all that. Now in our list employee, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to start adding some more fields in here. So I'm going to put department in here. So select, I'm going to insert a label, text label, and come back to the advanced section, and it's already got this item department in there, so I'm going to leave that there. At the moment we're only seeing departments for sales, marketing and accounts on some of these records, so I need to actually bring some more departments in here to show those. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to make department, I'm going to put it in another color. So I'm going to make that red, perhaps. And I'm also going to add an email there as well. So at this point I could also do some formatting here. So on the name I could perhaps change the background color and then change the foreground color to be white. I'm going to bold the name, change that into a better blue, I think. Yeah, that's a better blue, I think. And for the departments, semi-bold that. And for the email, we'll keep as a normal font style or font weight. Now, what I can do is I can now bring some more departments in here. So there's two ways of doing this. You can either add it in the Powerapps itself to the record, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to add it directly in the Excel document. So what I've now done is I've added more departments into the Excel spreadsheet. But if I come back to the Powerapps, we can see that those departments are not actually showing at the moment. So there's two things we can do here. We can come along to the data, and on table names, the three dots here, we select that, and we could do refresh, which would then show all the departments on this screen for each employee. Or another way of doing things is to add another button at the top. So I'm going to select an icon again, and I'm going to select this one, reload. Just push it here at the top, make the color white, and on here what we could do is we could, on the select event, we can say refresh. So what data source do we want to refresh? Well, we want to refresh table names because that contains our updated departments. So if I now run this, click the refresh button, you can see it now refreshes the data and brings in all those new departments that I added in the Excel spreadsheet. I've also tidied up the screen to add an employee or to update an employee. So I've just added another label at the top here called add edit employee as the text. I put a navigation button on here because I want to navigate back to list employee, and I put a save button here which basically just submits the form. So I can now get rid of this save button at the bottom, and we have that form ready. Now on our form for listing employees, we want to be able to add a new one. We can currently edit an existing one by clicking on the arrow, which will take us straight to that record, but we still need to add one. So I'm going to click on the top here and insert an icon, and this one's going to be the add icon. So I put back the code here for adding a record that we had before. So just to recap, we're resetting form 1. So on edit employee, our form name is form 1. And we can see it here in the tree view, form 1. So we're resetting that form. We're then saying, give me a new form. So basically reset is actually clearing all the controls on the form 1, so it's ready for a brand new record. New form is actually telling it that we want to enter a new record, and then I've got the navigate statement to go to that particular screen. Now when we add a record or update a record, sometimes it doesn't immediately show on other screens within Powerapps. So what we can do is we can make use of our refresh command once again. So what we could do is when we save the record, we could put a refresh straight after this, so it refreshes the data, or when we navigate back we could put a refresh statement here as well. But what I'll do is I'll put it on the save, so we submit the form and then we just refresh the data. So when we move back to our list of records, the new record should show on there. Another thing you can do is move the screens around here in the tree view. So I actually want the menu to be the first thing that's there. So I'm going to move that right to the top there. So now let's just test all this out. So I'm coming up here to running the system. So I'm running the menu, clicking on employees. That gives us our list. So if I wanted to have a look at, for example, Peter Wilson, click the arrow here on the gallery and it shows me his record. I could then move back and it takes me back to this view. Supposing I wanted to change Peter Wilson to become, perhaps instead of IT, perhaps put him in sales. So come down here, select sales, save the record and move back, and Peter Wilson is now in sales, so that's working. I could also from here add a brand new record. Claire Woodrow, and save that. Then move back here, and if I scroll down we can see we have a record here for Claire Woodrow, or Claire Woodrow, spelt it slightly wrong, but if I then click that record, it takes me straight into the record for Claire Woodrow. Another thing you can do is you can display a message to notify the user that the record has been saved successfully, or if it didn't save successfully. Because at the moment we have no way of knowing whether the record was actually saved in the data source. So if you click on the form and highlight it, and then you come up to the events at the top. Now what each form has is a property here called on success and on failure, and these two events are going to fire each time the form is saved. So on success we can put in, for example, a message. Now to show a message in Powerapps you use the command called notify, and that will pop up at the top of the screen a little message with whatever you define in here. So I'm just going to put record saved. So as soon as I click my save button, if the record was successfully saved, this message will come up here at the top. Alternatively, if something should go wrong, I want to select the on failure event and put a message in here to say that it didn't save. So something like that. And the great thing about forms again is that you need to write very little code to do this. So you don't need to write any long-winded kind of error procedures to trap errors and things like that. Just one line of code in the events for on success and on failure. So we can test that. We come into employees and perhaps we want to update something here. So let's give Kathy Jones a middle name. Kathy Mary Jones, click save, and there's our message at the top here, record saved, so we know that's successful. Then when we come back to employees, we can see it's been changed to Kathy Mary Jones. So that just about wraps up this video. In the next video, I'm going to be showing you how to do things like searching and sorting records. And if you want to get the other parts of this video series on Power Apps with Excel, you'll find the links in the description just below this video. If you like this video, please click the button to like it, or why not subscribe to my channel? Or you can even download my free Power Apps for Newbies book at www.powerappsfornewbies.com.